Hello, thanks for joining me live on YouTube on the Met Office channel. Make sure you're subscribed, by the way, while we're here. Subscribe to the Met Office and you never miss a broadcast. Particularly important at the moment because there is a storm coming. A storm that we named this morning, Storm Arwen, the first storm of this season. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. Going to talk you through what's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. But I want your comments. I want your questions. Maybe a slight delay, but I should get them feeding through on my laptop here. So yeah, send me in your questions. Send me in your comments. There's going to be some very strong winds from this storm. That's why we've named it. But there will also be some snow in places. So if you're interested in snow, ask me about that as well. But ask me about anything really. Just let me know in the comments and in the questions. Try and answer as many questions as we can. It's been a bit of a rush trying to get all this done. So apologies, we're a little bit late. But you know, better late than never. That's what I say. Storm Arwen though is on the way. Unlikely to be late, arriving. Well, by this time tomorrow really, the storm will be really getting going, particularly across parts of the north. So we're going to be talking about Storm Arwen. We're going to be talking about the impacts. We're going to be talking about the winds and the potential for a bit of snow in places also. And that's happening over the next 24 to 48 hours. So let me know in the comments if you're liking it. Let me know if you can see and hear it okay. And let me know also if you've got any comments. Finley Craven, snow news. A lot of people will be asking about that. Willow Man, will Angus get snow? My Sea Prince, thank you. Oh, thank you very much for being there, My Sea Prince. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you're watching. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll try and pick out a few areas as we go through. Maybelode, Pennine's going to get hit. Well, hit, I mean, there will be a dusting over the tops of the Pennines if you're talking about snow, but there will be some strong winds as well from this storm system that's coming in. Chance of snow in Leeds from everything. We'll get onto that in just a moment. First of all, let's talk you through what's going on really, shall we? So this is the big picture. Looks quite inviting, doesn't it? Big chunky area of high pressure out to the west that may just topple in, right? Well, sadly not. If we run through the sequence, you can see it's this area of low pressure up to the north that is going to head its way southwards, and as it does so, really starts to pop. The isobars really intensifying, really coming out of it as it does so. So if we stop it there, Friday 6 o'clock, the low pressure's in the North Sea. Notice the isobars really close together, so that tells us it's going to be windy. These weather fronts are going to be bringing rain. It will be rain at this stage as well. It is all rain, but the whole system is coming down from the north, so it is bringing with it cold air. You can see that cold air up to the north. That will be dragging down as this system, this is Storm Arwen, as that heads down into the North Sea, it is going to be bringing with it cold air and the strong winds. Strongest winds likely to be Friday evening going into Friday night. We have a yellow warning that comes into force from midday tomorrow. So let's just run through a little further. Notice how it continues to drift its way southwards. And there is that yellow weather warning I was talking about, coming into force midday tomorrow, covering pretty much all of Scotland, Northern Ireland, western parts of England and Wales. So the winds will start to pick up during the course of tomorrow. Low pressure in the North Sea, winds picking up. Let's put those winds on. Really blustery conditions. So we've got a yellow warning in place from midday tomorrow for the rest of Friday, covering Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern western parts of England. Gusts of wind 55 to maybe 65 miles an hour. Those kind of winds are going to cause a few issues, transport issues. If you're on a ferry through the North Sea, just bear that in mind tomorrow, there could well be cancellations. The ferries between the Irish Sea, but ferries between Scotland and Northern Ireland are going to be disrupted. Ferries from Wales could also be disrupted too. But this isn't the strongest winds. The strongest winds are going to pick up really on Friday evening. And if we just zoom in, let's take those winds off for a second. Just zoom in on this low pressure. Watch it drift south. Let's just pause it there. I'll take the warnings off for now. Because notice, actually it starts to elongate this low pressure system. And what happens is you get almost like an extra low in here, and it really squeezes those isobars together here. So that's where we're going to see the strongest winds. This is getting into Friday evening across that northeastern corner of the UK. So it's northern and eastern Scotland in particular at this stage, but also that pinch in the isobars there. The winds will really funnel down through between Scotland and Northern Ireland. So some very strong winds likely here too. Gusty conditions continuing. And then those winds probably peaking really during the course of Friday evening. So that's when we have an amber warning in force. Now I've got a big apology to make here. The layers, didn't have time to sort the layers out. So the amber warning is actually underneath the yellow warning, which isn't a lot of use. But the amber warning is in this zone here, covering northern Scotland, down the eastern side of Scotland, down into northeast England. So that's the amber warning. And in that amber warning area, we could see gusts of wind of 80 miles an hour along the coast. 70 to 75 miles an hour likely in exposed areas, but possibly a little bit higher than that. Those kind of winds, let's just take the pressure off because it's not really helping a little bit, is it? Take the pressure off. Those kind of winds, 70, 75 miles an hour, could easily cause some structural damage. Parts of northern and eastern Scotland, down into northeast England. Structural damage possible. Flying debris. There's going to be delays to your transport network, be that rail, road or aeroplanes. And there could easily be some power disruption as well. So that's the peak of the winds Friday evening in that zone across the northeast. But still at this time, there will be winds elsewhere gusting and giving problems down the western side of the UK. So that's the winds tomorrow evening. That's when the worst of the effects are going to be felt. Any questions coming in? Will there be snow in Norwich? Tony. We'll get to snow in just a minute. Any snow for Liverpool? Lots of snow questions coming in. Are we getting another beast from the east? Kent Vigilante. No, this isn't a beast from the east. This is a storm system coming in from the north, which is a pretty unusual area to get a storm system coming in from. And that's because of the shape of the jet stream at the moment. It's arched across the North Atlantic. Let's show you that, shall we? Take the surface winds off and put the winds. So this is the jet stream. This is the jet stream. So these are the winds high in the atmosphere. And if we zoom out a little bit more, maybe scroll around a bit, we can look at that arch in the jet stream, arching all the way up over Greenland, down. And it's that which is developing the low pressure system. So if we just go back a little bit to the here and now, see that jet stream there. There's a bit of an intensification in the jet stream. Let's put on the storm, and you can see it's that jet that drags it down and also intensifies it. If we run through that system, it's that jet stream engaging it, really giving it some welly. That's why the isobars pop out of it, and that is why that storm intensifies overnight tonight and for Friday morning. Look at that squeeze in the isobars there. So really strong winds, and that's because of the winds high up in the atmosphere, the jet stream really energizing that low and giving it some welly, and that's why those isobars are squeezing together. That's why we've got the warnings out for tomorrow. Let's take the jet stream off now. So that's the low. That is Storm Arwen on its way in. Tidal surge in the North Sea. Interesting question. Water towers. There will be some big waves. It's not quite the right direction. If the low was a bit further east and you were getting a straight northerly down the North Sea, then you often get a tidal surge because the winds come down and they funnel down and give problems as there's a lot of massive water that comes down. Not quite the right wind direction for that, thankfully, but there will be some tidal issues just because of the strength of the wind and the position of the low. So actually a low pressure system will raise, because it's a low pressure, actually raises the level of the sea itself. Plus also you get those winds pushing the waves along, pushing the water along. When you add into that the funneling effect of the North Sea, if you get a straight northerly, that can bring some big flooding problems, as we saw back in 1953 and has been the case several times across the Netherlands. Not quite the right wind direction for that, thankfully, but there will still be some coastal issues as these winds pick up. Thankfully, the tides are pretty low at the moment as well, so good news on that front, but there will still be big waves from this storm system. Good question, water towers. Tony keeps nagging me about Norwich. We'll get onto that in just a moment, Tony. Trust me. Will there be any snow in the South Wales valleys? Who's doing the weather for this weekend? I've just recorded the weather for this weekend. Thanks for the question. It should be up and running any minute now. Keep questions coming in. Keep us the thumbs up. Give us the sunshine emoji. Give us a snow emoji if you like a snow emoji as well. Let us know. Will there be snow in the northwest of England? Yes, there could be a little bit over the hills. Certainly the Cumbrian Fells will see some snow at low levels. Not going to see much, but I'll talk about that in just a moment. Weston-super-Mare. Had some great times in Weston-super-Mare. Someone asking about the sudden stratospheric warming. Andrew Orr asking about an SSW, sudden stratospheric warming. No sign of that at the moment. There was a weakening of the polar vortex, a stratospheric polar vortex earlier in the autumn actually, and that can sometimes then lead to another one later in the winter, but there's no signs at the moment. If anything, the polar vortex is stronger than normal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels, search up Southern Stratospheric Warming, and there's a video on that, but there's no sign of that happening at the moment. But good question, Andrew Orr, thank you for that. Any more questions coming in? Keep them coming in. If not, we'll go on to what happens next, because so I've talked about Friday evening, we've talked about what happens, and then you can see that the storm system, Storm Arwen, starts to pull away on Saturday morning. But notice still some very strong winds there, still some very strong winds during the course of Saturday. And even by Saturday, look, the low is now near Paris. The low pressure system, Storm Arwen, has headed out to Paris, but look behind it, still a lot of isobars on the chart, still some very strong winds coming in. And so on Saturday, let's zoom into that, we have a yellow warning covering large parts of the UK. Now this yellow warning is for gusts of 55 to 65 miles an hour, so still some disruption likely from that on Saturday. The winds will be easing during Saturday from the west, but nevertheless those winds could still cause some problems, some issues with ferry crossings, some travel disruption. Of course there could be some knock-on effects from what we've seen on Friday night from Storm Arwen earlier on as well. So there could be some delays on Saturday. So if you are travelling on Saturday, just bear that in mind. Also bear in mind the sheer wind direction and the feel of the day. That looks cold, right? And temperatures are going to be much, much lower than they have been. 5-6 degrees at best, perhaps on Saturday. Add on that wind, it's going to feel sub-zero. So it is going to feel cold on Saturday. I know it felt pretty chilly today, but there was lots of sunshine around to compensate. Saturday is going to feel really cold with that northerly wind. And as that wind dies down, Saturday night, so this is Sunday morning, still in the cold air, but with lighter winds, really frosty on Sunday morning as that wind eases off a little bit. Okay, let's go back to Saturday, because a lot of people are asking about snow. So let's talk a little bit about that. This is a weather front. I wonder if I put that on. Yeah, so we've got this old occlusion. This is an occluded front tied into Storm Arwen, and it's drifting southwards. Rewind it a little further. Hitting northern Scotland on Friday. So we have a yellow snow warning in force across northern Scotland for Friday. Mostly it's going to be hills. There could be a little bit at low levels, but some of the higher routes here across Scotland on Friday, the A9 for example, really badly hit by this system on Friday evening. And it's not just the snow falling, it's the winds. So the combination of heavy snow and winds, I mean that snow is going to be coming down horizontally. Is that even possible? So there's going to be some problems on roads like the A9 on Friday evening and overnight with that snowfall. Then watch as it comes south. That occlusion comes south and it's a real mess. Let's take the pressure off. It's a real mess. There's rain in there, but there is also some snow all the way through. If we track that band southwards, there's always some snow mixed in it, even across the south of England. There's the possibility. So the model is signalling it's going to be a mixture of rain, sleet and snow. But it's really complicated because the winds are going to be bringing in relatively warm air from the North Sea. So at low levels, you're going to have this wind feeding in relatively warm air underneath that band of wet weather. So that's going to tend to warm up the lowest levels of the atmosphere, which means you're less likely to get snow at low levels. So as that comes southwards, there will be snow on the hills, the southern uplands, the Cheviots as it comes in, as this little feature as well, could bring a bit of snow to the Chilterns. So yes, almost anywhere across England, Wales, southern Scotland, you might see a little bit of snow as these systems drive southwards. But it isn't going to last and it isn't going to stick because the ground is still pretty warm. We're only in late November, so the ground is still relatively warm. It's not had that full season of winter to cool down. So the ground is still relatively warm. So as this comes southwards, yes, you may see a flake. You may wake up to a dusting even across parts of northern England, southern Scotland, but it's not going to last. It's not going to be a lot of snow unless you're up on the hills where we could see a few centimetres, say over the Pennines and the Peak District, for example, as well. So there could be a few centimetres on the tops of the hills across northern England. But at low levels, it is mostly going to be rain that we see, with the exception of northern Scotland. Right, hope I've answered some snow questions there. Wind and snow, Amar Kupovic. I hope you got your name right there. Thanks for watching. Scandinavian high for December. Unlikely, Fizz Demon 1234. Scandinavian highs where you get a big area of high pressure blocking weather systems over Scandinavia, over up here for a period of weeks. Let's take that off. And at the moment, it's low pressure dominating up there and high pressure down here. And that's actually the pattern for much of next week. If you watched my 10-day trend yesterday, did I do it yesterday? Watch the 10-day trend. That's the main pattern for next week. High pressure here, low pressure here, which does open the door for more small little features like Storm Arwen to come in. So we could see similar features coming down. So it's always going to be cool. On the cool side, it looks like through much of next week, and there is always the potential for further spells of windy and possibly wintry weather through next week. Is there a La Nina CR567? There is a La Nina at the moment, yes. Depends who you believe. There's different schools of thought about how you actually classify whether the La Nina has started, but we are going into a La Nina phase, which is unusual because there was a La Nina last year as well. And what La Nina often does is allow ridging in the Atlantic. So this pressure pattern is consistent with La Nina, which is the sea temperature change, natural sea temperature change across the southern Pacific. La Nina and El Nino, one's the boy, one's the girl. They go in opposite patterns and over a semi-regular oscillation of about 5 to 7 years. But it's quite strange to have two La Ninas back to back, but that's what we've got at the moment, and this pressure pattern is actually pretty consistent with La Nina, so you can get these northwesterly winds coming in. Thanks for your question. Right, any more? Will the rain be really heavy in Glasgow tonight, Thursday night? 100 TF1. Not especially heavy, but of course with the winds picking up, it will probably seem heavier because the rain's going to be, coming down. Well, maybe not horizontally yet, but it's coming down at an angle because it's going to be windy. That I always think it makes the rain seem heavier. So yeah, let me know you're watching. If you're just joining, we're talking about Storm Arwen bringing some very strong winds over the next couple of days. Give me a wave, give me a thumbs up if you're watching, and send in any questions you may have as well. Can you put Liverpool on the video? Adam Logan, I will zoom into Liverpool just for you. There we go. Let's see if Liverpool turns up, because Manchester's there. We don't want that, do we? Oh, look, it's not come up as a town name. I'm not in control, but there is Liverpool. You've got Liverpool on the map for you. Actually, might have been a bit. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There's the Mersey, and there's Liverpool. Just put it on you, not because I'm a Liverpool fan, just thought I'd do that for you. Any more questions? Willow Man, wave, snow, snowman, Christmas tree. You make a good point. Let me know with your emojis if you like snow or not, and give us a wave as well. Hello, Met Office, Festive Jack. Festive Jack, do you like white Christmases? Is that why you're called Festive Jack? Any more questions about the weather? Possibility of flooding? Everything. Good question. Rain, not a big issue with this system at the moment. The rain is going to be moving through pretty quickly, and there's not going to be enough heavy snowfall for it to cause too many issues either. There could be some problems with flooding with regard to the coast. So coastal flooding, as we talked about earlier, as the weather system comes south and these strong winds hit the coast, pushing the waves on, there could be some overtopping, some big waves because of the strength of the wind. But thankfully, tides are pretty low at the moment. We call them neap tides. So not a massive issue, but definitely something we need to keep an eye on. I'm in Snowdonia. David Sadgrove. I'm in Snowdonia. Any chance of snow? I think on the tops of the mountains, yes. On tops of Snowdon, there could well be some. Not a huge amount at low levels, but there could be some on the tops of the mountains, making it look pretty on Sunday, but it will be cold. But the winds will ease down, so Sunday should be a cracking day for much of the UK. Nice and sunny, storms out of the way, but it will be cold. Hoping for a beast from the east, Soren B. This isn't a beast from the east, this is Arwen from the north. But, there's a long way to go yet in winter, and we could get further easterlies. It's too early to say. It's also too early to say anything about white Christmases, if you were thinking of asking about that. Alex, are you an Everton fan? No. Wrong colour, mate. The red's all the way. What about the Isle of Man, please? Good question. He's moving too fast. RG2, something. Isle of Man. Probably not going to get much snow, but strong winds. Let's rewind the fun, shall we? And go back to Look at that. Look at the squeeze in the isobars. So the storm's going down the North Sea, but that pinch in the isobars there, right through the Irish Sea, that's where we could see some very strong winds. This is Friday evening, so the Isle of Man in line for some very strong winds, gusts of 55, 65 miles an hour. I wouldn't be surprised. Exposed parts of the Isle of Man could top out a little bit higher than that. So some very strong winds there. As I said, ferries likely to be disrupted across Irish Sea crossings during Friday evening. Thanks for your question. Any snow for Ireland? Not much. A dusting maybe over the hills. Depends how high up you are as to whether it sticks really. But even high up across Ireland, we're not expecting huge amounts of snowfall. And Cardiff missing the worst of the winds. Well, Cardiff is sheltered from this kind of wind direction, so you can imagine there's got to come across a lot of ground and a lot of mountains, so Cardiff is kind of sheltered from that wind direction, as is Glasgow. I had a question earlier about how bad it was going to be in Glasgow. Again, this kind of wind direction, you can see the winds have got to come over a lot of land, a lot of mountains, so that kind of tempers them down a little bit. So actually for Cardiff and Glasgow, the wind direction is favourable for it not to be too strong. It'll still be very lively, no doubt, still be pretty gusty, but you can imagine this wind direction, Pembrokeshire, Cornwall, bearing the brunt of those strong winds during Friday evening. Any more questions? Hi, Paul Gerling. Fizz Demon 1234. Alex is my favourite weather forecaster. Thanks, Fizz Demon. That's very kind. Thanks for, God, there's so many questions coming in. It's all going too fast for me to actually read any of your questions, but thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if you want us to talk about anything else. Hopefully we'll be doing more lives like this. We used to do the weather show live every Tuesday. We've had to stop that because of COVID. We might be doing more lives though in the future, so make sure you're subscribed to our weather channel. Hit the subscribe button now, and then you'll never miss a forecast from us. You'll never miss a broadcast. We've done lots. We do our regular 10-day trend on a Wednesday, and we do a weekend forecast on a Thursday and a week ahead on a Monday. But thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. Irish Sea Storm 10, yeah, at least, if not a little livelier perhaps. Will it snow next week? CR 5, 6, 7. Again, open to doubt. It's not getting particularly warm next week. It's staying on the cusp with that northwesterly, so the door's open, but it's too early to say anything too specific. Certainly Sunday, Monday, no real snow in the forecast. Looks like turning a little bit milder. Is the Atlantic hurricane season over? Atlantic hurricane season ends officially on the 30th of November, so it's not quite over, but it almost is. Another long season for Atlantic hurricanes, and again, that's consistent with La Nina. So we had a very active season last season, and this season again. I don't think we got beyond W though. I was hoping we'd get beyond W and use the new set of letters, but I don't think we did, and it doesn't look that active at the moment. So we're coming to the end of the season. It officially ends on the 30th of November, but we have had Atlantic storm systems in December before, and equally we had them before the season starts as early as April or February, I think even 1 year with a Storm Alex, as I recall. So yeah, Storm Arwen, that's hitting tonight. Sorry, it's not hitting tonight, it's hitting tomorrow night. The strongest winds really picking up this time tomorrow. There are warnings in place from midday tomorrow right the way through Saturday. Check out the warnings. If you're watching this back, make sure you keep up to date. So this is, I've given you the situation, the warnings at the moment, but keep up to date. So make sure you check the Met Office website, download the app, and then you can take the warnings with you wherever you are. As I said, subscribe to our YouTube channels. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for all your comments. We'll do it again sometime. Now I've got the really embarrassing thing. I've got to walk around and turn the camera off. So just pretend I've gone, okay? Thanks for watching.